Hi guys, Jangro here, and welcome to my Valhelsia 5 world. In this episode, we are going to take a look at using the Create mod with Farmer's Delight, and specifically using the Create Slice and Dice add-on mod. So stick around. Let's take a quick look at sort of a little bit of a showcase of the Slice and Dice mod. And before we do that, here's Farmer's Delight right here. We've got the cooking pot, and you can automate this with Create. In the top goes the ingredients that go in this slot. Into the side, you put bowls, and coming out, it outputs anything that comes from bowls here. So if we put some bones and mushrooms into this barrel, they're going to dump in here and start cooking like this. Now this is a shapeless recipe. This works, except for it gets a little messy if you don't have the right recipe in here. So if things get messed up, you get too many things added in here. Maybe, you're trying to make multiple recipes. It's easy to get that mixed up. There you go. You can see these things come out of here. Do I have a bowl I can put back in here? Yep. And we can see how the bowls go in this side right here and back into that bowl slot. And this is where a Create mixer works much better, because you can set it to a specific pattern and it will, even if it's got extra stuff in there, it'll still work. We'll see that in a minute. So there's a better solution. The Create Slice and Dice mod actually adds all of the cooking pot recipes as mixer recipes. So if we look at all these cooking recipes here, and here we have a pickerel weed juice. If we look how to make that, we can also make that in a Create mixer. And all of these cooking recipes have been added as mixing recipes. So that's going to make crafting all those different recipes a little bit easier with Create. The other thing Farmer's Delight has is a cutting board with a knife. And, if you put a pork chop on a cutting board and cut it with a knife, you're going to get bacon. And we can do that with a deployer. There we go. We got some bacon. However, it gets a little weird with the cutting board. It puts the knife down, picks it up again, and doesn't stop if there's nothing on the cutting board. And that gets, I don't know, that's a little bit janky. So the Slice and Dice mod added a thing called a slicer. And this is really, really cool. Check this out. So here's a slicer right here. And you just put knives on there. You can pull them off by right-clicking, add them back on. It's important that they turn in the direction of the blades, which is a pretty cool detail, but you can get stuck with that. So if they're going backwards, they won't work. And if we put some pork chops in here, cuts them up into bacon. Let's stop that. That's going to take a while. Now you can also put, let's look up a slicer here. You can also put an axe on this thing, because you can use an axe on a cutting board too, which is useful for things like stripping logs and getting tree bark. It's pretty neat. So let's take a quick look at this. Let's get some logs. Oh, we need to put it down here. So here's an example of how it won't work if they're going backwards. So if these axes are turning in the wrong direction, we put a log in here, it'll just pass on through. So we need to put this. No, there goes my axe. We need to put this one away with a cog like this to change the direction. Let's get another axe. Right click, put axes on here, and we'll put some logs in here. Now it's going to strip these logs. We get the stripped log and some bark coming out here. What's neat about these things is if the item passing down the belt is not something that can be operated on with the knives, it'll just pass on through, or it'll stop if it can. Pretty neat. All right, so that is the slicer. And also we looked at the conversion of the cooking pot recipes over to the mixer. Let's take a look at a couple other things that the Slice and Dice mod adds. That's this thing right here, the sprinkler. It takes water from a pipe. We've got that getting pumped in from over there. We've got a couple sprinklers going here. And what's neat about this thing is it basically creates, if I go under here, listen. You hear that? Not the crow. That's rain. So underneath the sprinkler pouring out water, stop here if I come out. It basically makes it feel like it's raining on this little plot of land right here. So it will automatically hydrate farmland, waters the crops, might make them grow a little faster. I'm not sure. Something else will that I'll show you in a second. But it also allows banana fronds to grow into banana trees because that requires rain on with a banana frond planted on sand or gravel. So that's a way to grow bananas. That's pretty neat. We can pump other things out of this sprinkler as well. Any fluids, I think, but some relevant ones are fertilizer, which is this right here. Get it here, the train. We've got a train going on. I'll show you that in a minute. So we have liquid fertilizer in this fluid tank. Let's take a look at that recipe. This liquid fertilizer is with the slice and dice mod. And you get that from mixing compost or tree fertilizer from Create with water in a mixer, and you get this fertilizer. This recipe is much easier than this one, even though it produces less. Let's take a look at how that works right here. So we've got here this basin with water getting pumped into it constantly from a water supply. I've got this smart pipe filtering out only the fertilizer into this tank. And right here, we've got a mixer that's going to make compost is made with tree bark, straw, bone meal, and dirt. There's actually a lot of recipes for compost. This one, for me, is the easiest one right here. Straw you get from using a knife on grass. Tree bark you get from an axe on logs. You saw that earlier. Bone meal's easy. Dirt's easy. Some of these other things might be easier for you, but this one we're going to use to exercise some of these things we just talked about. But let's watch this work. Let's throw all of these things in here. Well, we'll have extra dirt, but that's going to mix those up. Compost is going to come out of here, drop in here, get mixed up with the water. And we can see if you look up top, the fertilizer increasing. Now, if we pipe fertilizer into a sprinkler over a crop, that is going to make it grow faster. And what we're going to do here, I just missed the train. I was going to take a train ride. Here's a portable fluid interface that's connected to that tank on the other side. And we pump it into the train on a tank, and it's going to take the fertilizer around this track, which is basically a harvest train. So it stops by all these different portable storage interfaces on all these different crops here. Here's a rice crop. Here's a wheat crop. This is pretty neat. This little logistics tug pulls this contraption on a contraption barge and harvests wheat. It's going to drop them off here. The train's going to come back and connect to these things as it goes by. Let's stop it. Comes the train. Let's take a ride on the train and check out where this all goes. There it is, picking up the rice, storing it in that vault on the train. It's not going to stop in this direction. It only stops in the other direction. It does a turnaround in the nether. Now, this train is ugly, I'll tell you. I have not fixed it up yet. It's just kind of a prototype, just trying to get it all working. Now it should stop and let me on. It's going to dump a few things off. Here it is, dumping off some of the things it picked up. That is all running down into a big vault that I have in that room. You may have seen it before. Here we go. We're picking up all the wheat. Get a little tour of our world here. This, by the way, is on my SMP server for supporters. That's a potato farm. You can join the server if you become a supporter of the channel. Check it out in the Discord. Links in the description. Back, that's a fishing barge. Oh, it didn't have anything in there, so it didn't stop. There's a Valhelsia structure that I've turned into a train station. This, I think, should pick up the potatoes on the way back from the potato farm. Yep, here they come. That garden, by the way, is done with an Ars Nouveau harvester. So I'm setting up all these different farms with all kinds of different ways of harvesting them. We're going to go through the nether to turn around. Just a quick turnaround in here. Not very safe. I'm going to make a train station in here. We do a lot of this stuff on our Twitch channel, on Twitch TV/Jangro. It did not stop. Not sure why. Anyway, we'll stop out here because I want to take a quick look at the fishing barge that we have out here. All right, it is stopping here to pick up all this stuff. Let's jump out. Let the train go. So here we have a Starbuncle wheel pulling stuff out of this item vault right here. There's a fishing barge that comes by. Let's just go take a look. Here it is. And this thing just fishes around. And as it goes, it fishes and picks stuff up. Drops stuff off down here. So what I want to do here is deliver fertilizer to all the different crops. And all these different crops are going to give me all the resources I need to make all the different Farmer's Delight meals. That's my ultimate goal. There, stopped that time. And it's dropping stuff off. These things are going to go all down into this vault down here. And now this is going to dump stuff out. And let's set up this automation of creating the fertilizer next. And to do that, again, we need bark, straw, bone meal, and dirt, which we'll pull from that vault down there, run it through all the processing it needs to do, and automate that whole process. All right, next, let's automate the creation of this compost. Again, we need bone meal, straw, bark, and dirt. And we're going to pull those down down this belt from that vault down there, which we'll fill with these things in various ways. That's an upstream project, but let's get this automated right now. Let's stick it right here. These 4 ingredients, each one needs a vault. And the vault's going to drop their individual filtered items on those depots. We want to filter them one at a time like this. So this one can hold the bark, this one the dirt, this one bone meal, and this one straw. And we're going to put a mechanical arm in a spot where we can pick things up off these depots and put them in that basin. We right click with the mechanical arm once, take items, and twice right click to place items. So blue is take, orange is place, and we're going to stick it right up here, which is, we've got a cogwheel running. You can put these things upside down, which is pretty cool. So now if we get some, let's see, we want to use andesite funnels for these item vaults because we want things to come out one at a time. If we let one of these arms take more than one item, it could potentially get something stuck in its hand. If there's 15 in here and it grabs 2, it's going to be able to only put 1 of that item in there because the basin holds a maximum of 16 items. You can see it's already got some tree bark in there. And it will then not be able to put that extra item and it'll just be stuck in its hand. So if we do it one at a time, it'll always be able to place the things. And to enforce that, we don't need fancy filtering on the output side. We'll just use some cheap andesite funnels. All right, so now we've got already some tree bark in here. Let's throw some straw on the belt here. Whole stack. And that's going to go and funnel into last vault, right? It did not. You know why? Because the funnels are all facing in the wrong direction. So let's fix that. Just right click on them with a wrench. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more try. In, and now our mechanical arm here is diligently putting stuff in here. And as soon as it grabs a piece of dirt and puts it in there, it's going to turn that into compost. Compost is going to drop out in here, get mixed up, and go into that fluid tank. When the fluid tank fills up, it should back up well enough to just stop the production of these things. And it'll just back up and keep it full, I think, because it will not continue to craft if it doesn't have a place to put it, I believe. All right, now this is doing its thing. It's filling us up with fertilizer. What we need to do is restock from our vault down there, where we're going to end up storing all of these things through our various ways of creating them. So with that, we're going to use this threshold switch. And we're going to put a threshold switch right here, which reads and detects what is in the vault it's pointing at. If we right-click with the wrench here, we can see that this part right here, I'm rotating it, needs to face down. Right-click with an empty hand on this thing, we can configure it. So what this is going to do, this little chest here indicates what the status is right now. And it's going to turn off the redstone if it's below this threshold of fullness for whatever is in the filter. And as soon as it passes that, it drops down here into the lower lane, which turns on the redstone signal, which we're going to send across to the vault and power a funnel and stop things from coming out onto the belt. So let's turn this thing way down just so we can see it work. So this is going to move to the upper lane at 1% and to the lower lane at 2%. So when it becomes lower than 1% full, as it's pulling stuff out here, it's going to then move up to the upper lane and turn the redstone signal off. We're going to then run these redstone links. And if we put straw in frequency 1, that should do it. And if we put a redstone link right here, a straw on it, and a funnel, a brass funnel right here, this is going to start pulling all kinds of stuff out. So we need to power it. Here we go. It's powered. So it should stop this brass funnel from dumping anything out. And we want to configure this with straw. Now, when this thing becomes empty enough, that redstone is going to turn off, which will turn off this redstone and request straw to come out of there. So, okay, but here's the thing. We don't want to pull straw out of here. We want to pull panicles out of here and then process them as they come down the belt and turn them into straw, because we're getting panicles, rice panicles from our rice farm. Right, I'm going to go ahead and set up these other three. And I'll be right back just to save a few minutes on this video. All right, so I've got all these threshold switch and redstone links set up down here, configured for the thing that they're going to pull out of the vault down there. I also put some levers up here to force these redstone signals on, so I could put these funnels on here and not have them spit things out too early. I left this one here to show you. We're going to set this attribute filter up right here with logs. So in order to make bone meal, we're going to pull out bones. For straw, we're going to pull out panicles. But for bark, we're going to pull out any log we have in there. So if I put a log in here as a reference item, we want to pull out things that are logs and less there. But we also want to not pull out stripped logs. So let's find stripped logs. I think stripped logs will match logs. Yeah, they are tagged logs, but we want to not include stripped logs. We want to do allow list, not any, but all. So it needs to match both of these tags. They're logs and they're not stripped logs. There we go. That's going to pull out logs as soon as we lower the redstone signal on these redstone links. So that is all set. Now we're going to get these things popping out of here. Just need to process them. So let's do that down here. Get a few things that we need. So first of all, let's get a belt going here. So that's going to reach to here. And so this belt here is going to be our processing belt, and this is just our delivery belt. And we can put all the processing of all three of these things right here on this belt. So let's put a barrel here. and a brass funnel coming out of this. Anything that makes its way down into this barrel, these are going to come down this belt one at a time, so we only really need an andesite funnel on here. We actually only really need an andesite funnel on here. Let's conserve our brass funnels. Okay, so now first thing, let's put a mill up this end to process the bones, and we'll just put a millstone right here with brass funnel on this because we need to filter out only bones. So we'll stick a bone on this. So this is going to pull out bones into that mill. And as they get processed, they're going to come out. Now we just need to make this mill work. The vertical gearbox here and a cog right there. So now as bones come down, they're going to just all get pulled into this millstone and then sent down this processing belt to go back into the system. Now we need to pull out logs and panicles. Let's use a chest right here. And because we need to pull out two different kinds of things. So for panicles, we need a brass funnel that's just going to have a panicle on it. Like that. That's going to pull panicles in there. And a funnel here. And we have to do the same thing with our attribute filter to get logs. Logs and stripped logs. Perfect. Logs and not stripped logs. Those are going to go into here. And coming out of this andesite funnel, we really only need things one at a time because these slicers only process one item at a time. Let's spread this out a little bit. Okay, so these slicers need to be two apart. We saw this earlier because we're going to connect them with a cog between them so that they both spin in the same direction. This one's going to get a knife on it. And this one is going to get an axe on it. We need a vertical gearbox, cog wheel right there, and a shaft right here. So we'll sneak a shaft right in there. That one's already got a shaft. Great. Now these things are turning. They are going in the right direction. Blades are going forward. This should do it. I think this is going to take care of everything. Let's set these to be just one at a time so we can slow it down. So we right click on here. Those are only going to send out one of these things at a time. That's just to slow it down because this processing is going to take a little while. And these things are going to continue to request new stuff until it gets them, into those vaults. And so that time delay is going to cause it to request way more than is really needed. Okay, let's start with the dirt. And let's just make sure the dirt comes out. And that works. We have some dirt coming. Do we even have dirt in here? I'm not sure. Let's put some dirt in here. No, we didn't have any dirt. So there it comes, one at a time. Perfect. Okay, let's stop that one. All right, next we want some bones to come out. Getting any bones? Likewise, I'm not even sure we have bones in there. And how about logs? Do we have logs? We do have some logs. Let's watch those get processed. Let's put some bones in here. Okay, so these should get pulled in. Yes, they're stripped. The logs are coming out. They get processed by the axe. The axe slicer. Perfect. And the logs are, the stripped logs are getting sent back and the bark is getting put in there. Great. Let's test now the bone meal production. There we go. We got some bones coming out. And we're just going to watch these get processed by... Yep, they're going into the mill. They're coming out. Perfect. They just pass under these things at don't operate on them. And finally, let's just try the panicles. That's not the panicles. Apparently, we already have enough here. Let's... That turned off, and we'll start to get some panicles coming out of here. Perfect. These should get processed by our knives. As part of this, we're going to get rice, which we'll use later in another recipe because there's lots of rice in the Farmer's Delight food recipes. All right, we've got it. We did it. We've got the whole thing producing compost. We've got a full tank here. And it's going to pile up probably 16 organic compost in here until it stops taking them. And then it's going to stop producing compost from that basin. There's 15. Let's see if it makes a 16th one. It needs some bone meal. Let's see, is it going to give us bone meal this time? There it goes. It needed 2 bone meal. Now this one's got 16 and it won't accept any more. So this arm is just going to fill this thing up now. And I think it'll stop. And it's got no more room to put things in, which is exactly what we want. Perfect. Okay, as a last step, let's see if we can get the train to deliver some fertilizer out here to one of these farms. Let's do it over here with this potato farm. So the train's interface, fluid interface, is on this side. Fluid interface right here. Now, so when the train stops here, it should connect fluid to that, which it does. Are we going to dump fertilizer out here? Might need to break this quickly. Okay, good. It doesn't count a pipe as an inventory. So that's good news. Tank right there. Now it's going to... No, we can't put it there because we need a pump. All right, so let's run it over this direction. Put a pump here, tank here, and up here we need another pump here. And so the sprinkler goes in a 5x5 area. So if we go into this spot right here is the center. The sprinkler will go. Put it right here. A little bit ugly. All right, let's do this whole thing again here. We put the 2 pumps in line with each other. The tank around them. That will make things a heck of a lot easier. So tank here. Another pump here. There we go. Now we can just use cogs and a shaft in between them. And then we just need to connect the pipe to the sprinkler. That's kind of messy. And we'll just run this guy. Rotate this one. Okay, it's filling up. It connected. Tank is filling up. And the fertilizer is coming out. And potatoes are growing super fast. It's only doing a really small part of the garden, but our potato production has increased significantly. Now, question is, once this tank fills up, 8 buckets, I think, will the train continue on, or will it just keep producing potatoes? and not allow the train to take off because it is stopped as long as there is inventory to extract. Okay, that's full. Few more potatoes coming. All right, go, go, go. Yes. In the meantime, this thing's going to fill up with potatoes. Tank's getting used up pretty slowly, so that's good. All right. We did it. I'll make this a little prettier. This is just to get it working. Now that I've got a star bunkle out here, I think I'll put a belt coming instead of this mechanism transporter. Things look a little more consistent. Yeah, we did it. We auto-crafted fertilizer, delivering it by train out into the remote fields to grow potatoes. Okay, I was waiting for nighttime to show you one more thing, which is one more use for the sprinkler. And I've got a spawner in here with these guys, and this is going to be my source of bones for bone meal. If I can get these guys to come over here to the corner, there we go. If I've got a sprinkler here with lava going into it, and if we just put some lava in here and get this thing going, they're taking damage from it, and we can make a mob grinder with this because we'll get their drops. There we go. There's a couple bones. We just have to figure out how to get them all pushed underneath this sprinkler and then pick up their bones. Some encased fans, belts can help us with that. So there you go. Just some food for thought. I'm going to finish this up in the stream. Definitely check out the description for our Twitch channels. All right, I think that's going to do it for this episode. From Humble Beginnings, we've got a full fertilizer automation thanks to the Create Slice and Dice add-on mod for Create and Farmer's Delight. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with future episodes. Check out the description for our Twitch streams. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time.